All right, thank you for staying with us. This second leg of the conversation is actually about, some of the highlights of the year, quite an eventful year. Tope and I said that earlier in the program. It has come with its own, leanings, exposes, exposures, and many Nigerians are still trying to, wrap their heads around some of these things. We'll let you into some of those, that have happened during the year, and for you to have a recap how we speak on these things and maybe project and for 2026. Take a look.
The political scene in Nigeria witnessed major events that shaped the polity, beginning in Lagos State, where the Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, was impeached over allegations bordering on high-handedness and corruption, a development that saw his deputy, Mojisola Miranda, elected as the first female speaker, only to later resign for Mr. Obasa's reinstatement.
That I will be faithful as the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly.
So as you can see me, I'm lively, I continue to enjoy myself, I'm not disturbed, I'm not packed up, and I'm not worried.
Mrs. Miranda's resignation sparked emotional scenes at the Lagos State House of Assembly, where some lawmakers paid tribute to her leadership.
At this point, I take a bow as your Speaker, and I step down as your Speaker of this great House.
But Speaker, can I let us talk first?
Let us sit. Honorable Sheyilawa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think you've made history as the first Speaker of this Lagos State House of Assembly. First female Speaker of this Lagos State House of Assembly.
In February, local government crisis continued in Osun State as 5 people were reportedly killed and many others injured as power struggle over the control of local government secretariats between the All Progressives Congress APC and the People's Democratic Party PDP turned deadly, sparking panic and tension across the state. That lingering crisis soon snowballed into the eventual lockdown of all the local government secretariats after the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, OSIEC, conducted local government election where the PDP had a clean sweep. In Rivers State, the political turmoil that has so far gripped the oil-rich state intensified as President Bola Tinubu suspended the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and declared a state of emergency for 6 months, appointing Ibo Kete Ibas as sole administrator.
It has become inevitably compelling for me to invoke the provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025.
The state was further plunged into protracted political crisis following the supremacy battle between Governor Fubara and his godfather and Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, who is the leader of the political structure that produced him as governor. The governor, however, returned from the suspension, announcing his defection from the PDP to the APC alongside 17 state lawmakers.
In the year they talk, we dey support Tinubu, we know they follow corner. Let it be very clear to everyone that the Renew Hope agenda is here with a vigor than you can imagine. We're out, we're ready to drive it to every door in every local government area of Rivers State.
I don't know who supported to follow Konokara.
Well, he was referring to you. Wouldn't that be a direct reference?
How could that be when the whole Nigeria knows that I'm one supporter of Tinubu? What is Konokara? When I have stated openly, that is what I will do.
Defection became a recurring theme that swept through the PDP and some other opposition parties in 2025 as 8 governors, including Sheriff Ovoribori of Delta State, Umoheno of Akwa Ibom State, Enugu's Peter Mba Doyediri of Bayelsa State, Abu Kefas of Taraba State, Caleb Muftuang of Plateau State, and Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State, all defecting to the APC, except Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke, who pitched a tent with the Accord Party. The gale of defection now leaves the PDP with governors Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State, Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, and Amadu Fintiri of Adamawa State, while the party's number of senators reduced to about 24, while APC's strength increased to about 77. As APC's control spread across state, coalition plot formed under the African Democratic Congress (ADC) to unseat President Tinubu in the 2027 presidential election soon began as former ministers Rauf Aregbesola, Rotimi Amechi, and Nasir El-Rufai left the APC, while former Senate President David Mark and former Vice President Atiku Abubakar also left the PDP. Their defections from the PDP were linked to the ongoing leadership crisis, which has given rise to the Wike-led faction and the Makinde-led faction, both of whom have produced chairmen and secretaries. The crisis now pits the two former allies, Mr. Wike and Governor Makinde, against each other as the Oyo State Governor withdraws its support for President Tinubu, making a bold statement about his qualification to contest the presidency.
And that is why I will not be supporting the president for 2027. Wike can support him, he's within his right, but also it is within my own right to decide within the political space who I will support or what I will do to serve this country at the highest level. I am qualified. I'm even overqualified.
Earlier, Speaker of the Osun State House of Assembly, Adewale Egbedun, warned Governor Seyi Makinde against using Osun State as a tool to promote his presidential ambition after a factional PDP primary election was held in the state.
If Governor Seyi Makinde is desperate to become president come 2027, he should use another state as a tool, not Osun State.
Away from the defection row, another major political development in 2025 was the November 8 Anambra State governorship election, the first major election conducted by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, under its new chairman, Joe.
All right, thank you. You've seen that many things have actually. That's all time can permit us to have. We have with us today a public affairs analyst who will, try and make sense for the next 30 minutes or so of some of these political happenings, and maybe if it will have, bearance in the next year, 2026. Comrade Ayo Ologun. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Compliment. Same here to you. It's good to have you here. Right, I'm sure you've seen this, and of course you've followed the political happenings. We had you, on this program, a couple of times, and we must say thank you for that. Always, either on site or online, virtually. Sometimes even with the very little timing. Thank you. Now, this is your country. So I'm not sure you have changed.
Our country.
It's our country. Yes. But then, starting, from that reporter you watch, the past struggle at the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mr. Mudassir Obasa, that many will feel at some point, it's over for this man as the speaker, because the first female speaker emerged, which is Tola Miranda, and it appeared like, she had an overwhelming support from the people. But then, when Mr. Mudassir Obasa came into the country, he made a joke of whatever they said he had done, and a few weeks after, he returned back to his status quo. The Wike Fubara'S feud, the state of emergency declaration, the local government imbroglio in Osun State, and all of those things. In fact, which of these events stands out for you? Let's start.
Well, the year 2025 wrapping up in a few hours has been a very eventful one. Like one week, one drama. Hardly did the week pass in the whole of 2025 that won't be political talking points. Something that will call for either you shake your head and cry at the shame of a nation, or you have reasons to wonder if things are ever going to get better. At the very few times things happen that you applaud and say, oh, maybe there's still hope for us as a nation. But I think without sounding immodest, the most outstanding of every of the political activities or events that have taken place in Nigeria over the last 1 year is actually that of the Fubara'S purported removal from office. I say purported because I don't know, maybe after the last count, the court has not made the final okay, I think there has been a pronouncement by the Supreme Court that the president was in order. But that was one event that divided Nigerians, not only along political lines, but even those who are men of thought, opinion leaders, a lot of even legal juggernauts were all divided against the authenticity, veracity, and the legality of that event. And whether we like it or not, whether it was right or wrong, Fubara'S was made to vacate office for 6 months. And that will be a precedence. That remains a precedence in the history of our democratic journey, right from the First Republic up to the Fourth Republic. I mean, the Fourth Republic that we seem to be having at the moment. We hope it doesn't get interrupted again by military rule. That's defined our political history. Never in the history of this nation as such an incident happened, not in the First, Second, Third, or the Fourth Republic that we are in. So that stands out as the most challenging political period in the history of Nigeria. A lot of other events happened, but like Yorubas will say, they are only following behind the incidents that happened in River State.
All right. Several other things have happened. Let's talk about corruption cases and the lack of courage to, somewhat pursue these cases. We had the Beta Edu case from 2024, and sometime early in the year it cropped up again, and nothing has been done. We had other fingerings. We had the NMDPR reports and all of those issues. Do you have a particular concern on the trend that corruption cases are taking and the lack of will, no willpower to even see these cases through?
Well, one thing that's become reoccurrent, and of course, history can be used to back it up. Empirical evidences are there to back up the fact that the fight against corruption in Nigeria seems to be a regime-based thing. And it's quite unfortunate. Government is supposed to be continuum. Fight against corruption should be devoid of political alliances, should be devoid of the personalities in government, should be devoid of who holds the haze at a particular time. But otherwise is the case in this country. Corruption is based on who is in charge at the moment. Look at the case of Malami, the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation. Nobody would have thought something like this would befall Malami in less than 5 years out of office. But if you count back to 3-4 years ago when he seems to be the head of the cabal under the late President Muhammadu Buhari, I'm sure if you had told him that, look, in the next few years you'll be licking your ass in prison, he will have laughed it off. That not in this country. So you see, everyone that were in charge during the Muhammadu Buhari administration were like some sort of sacred cow. They did things with so much impunity, without recourse to fear of what would happen. And then come under Tinubu, it seems everyone associated with that government and have been charged with one corruption case or the other seems to be still be having a field day. Many of them have not given an account of what they were accused of. The FCC seems to be looking the other way. But you can't be so sure. Maybe in another 1 year or 2 years when he leaves office, and if he wins the second term, maximum of another 5 years, another government will come into place and will open those files. And those accused of corruption under that regime will become the latest sacred cow. And if you date it back, in the days of Jonathan, people under him, the worst that you got was maybe removal from office and suspension, not prosecution. But immediately he left office and the Buhari administration came on board, most of the people accused of corruption under Jonathan had the law to face. You talk about many of them. Dasuki, you talk about the former PDP chairman, Adu, a lot of them. These are second cow under Jonathan. Buhari came in, they were prosecuted. Buhari regime came, another set of sacred cow. He left office, Tinubu came in, they are now facing charges. Those who are accused of corruption, like the Beta Edu and many of them that you mentioned, seems to be covered. The best we had was resignation, suspension, sack, and what have you, not prosecution.
Minister Nyesom as well.
Yes. Forgery. All of them are covered now because they have a godfather. It is their time. So you can't be so sure. Who comes in next? That one too will open the books, prosecute the present thieves in court. Another set of thieves will begin to align. So for me, that is not a political will. That is not the way to fight corruption. You can't fight corruption on sentiment and expect the nation to grow. So that is my worry, and it's a big challenge to governance in this third of the world.
All right. So, March, you talked about a Wike issue earlier because it seems it's not ending soon. After it was suspended, and talk about that Supreme Court judgment that leave the past of the president to be open-ended. That's not that they made a categorical statement that what President Tinubu did was accurate or not, but that he has passed actually you know, to the extent of whatever I think is necessary per time. And one will say, okay, maybe they are fixed. But the Wike saga seems to be unending. I was
the Fubara'S saga.
Well,
Wike Fubara,
Wike, Martin Amaule, Rivers of Drama saga, and all of those things. And it seems that state have been reduced to Fubara Wike. And the last one here, Mr. Ologun, I don't know if you can remember anything significant that you had from Rivers beyond Wike, Fubara, and you know, Amaule and the rest of them. And when you think maybe all is well now between them, and the guy has been, you know, restored, and he has said he's Oga, all of those things. Wike has been moving around in the last few days, talking and telling everybody, you know, softly to say, if they didn't support us before, they can't start supporting Nana. If they didn't support Mr. President before, even if they sing on your mandate, you shall stand, it's fake. How many eyes, and fingers are pointing at Fubara to say, it seems, you know, in fact, yesterday he said, whatever mistake they made in 2023, they're going to, you know, correct it in 2027. I see about that talking, but I want us to look at this issue and whatever bearing he might have in the new year. Now that it seems, is it that Wike is just insatiable? Like the man is just not, it's just, you know, wants to be relevant at all times. Because one will wonder, what's bringing on?
It's not about Wike wanting to be relevant at all time. It's about the president, the system, the political setup, giving encouragement to such characters. And it's worrisome.
How do you mean?
Yeah. There's this book by George Orwell, Animal Farm.
Yeah.
There is a popular saying from that book that all animals are equal. But or some are more equal than the other. If you flip it and you come to the Yoruba saying or adage, they will say, Unfortunately, such that has Goriebe, apologies to non-Yoruba speakers, is Wike. And the question would be, what is the heap that the character like Wike has risen upon? It is providing what was needed for the president's survivor, as at the time he was attempting to become president, and such a person cannot be dead. Look, there are a lot of things Tinubu would love to do. And if you are in his shoe too, you would do the same. That he would be incapacitated from doing, except if he's not seeking a second term. I'll tell people, I've been saying this on platform. Look, maybe if, because the people have the say, the final say, if a Tinubu wins the second term, there are a lot of decisions, there are a lot of people he would do away with that you probably would not have thought he could do away with, or things you thought he would not have been able to do. But as it stands today, you cannot write the ascension to office, the history of the ascension to office of a Tinubu without talking about the roles that a person like Wike played, significantly so, which earned him the all-powerful office of the Minister of the FCT, the first Southerner to hold that office in the history of our democratic, in our political history, in our democratic history, since the headquarters of Nigeria moved from Lagos to Abuja. That is a record in itself. So the question would be, what makes Wike so popular, so powerful? Maybe he's not popular, so powerful. What made him so powerful is his antecedent and the role he played into ascension of office of Mr. President, which has been transferred, perhaps, please don't quote me, I use the word perhaps while he was in office as the governor of Rivers State. Rivers State is one of the highest revenue earning states in the country. And he was the governor in Rivers State at a time that candidate Tinubu then, now President Tinubu, was practically starved of funds. If you remember the Emefiele saga and the rest of them, it was looking like even if votes were to be bought, even if campaigns had to be made, funds were not available. So you could not, or we could imagine or assume the role that Wike could have played as the money minter in quote, as the governor of Rivers State, where unending access was to finance in the ascension to office of Mr. President. And if that be the case, there's something Wike will always say, which to me put a big question. Any little thing Wike will say, agreement, na agreement. That shows that some agreements, some concessions were actually entered into prior to the ascension to office of Mr. President. What are the details of such agreements? What are the details of such concessions never to be made open? And who say some of those concessions did not require or did not involve the short change of the people of Rivers State in terms of their resources and finances?
which maybe Fubara'S was trying to correct until it was shown and cut to size. So when a Wike continues to tell you agreement and nobody tells us what that agreement is, we can only infer, we can only assume that a lot of compromises and concessions would have been entered into by the president and Wike prior to election of office, and until such debts in court are repaid, you can't win down the influence, the power, and the control that Wike has over the present administration.
Well, with all of these things that you said, Mr. Logo, what's the fate of Nigerians in all of this? In all of these concessions, consolidations, agreements? I mean, you talked about the fact that if the president were to win a second term, there are some, shaking ups that he may eventually engage in or do that we will be surprised about that. That's notwithstanding, what's the fate of Nigerians in all of these issues? I mean, you see politicians now speaking to the fact that you can, I mean, APC in Rivers was just telling Fubara'S that if he doesn't go through a figure, then he may not emerge the winner of that state. What about the place of the citizenry in all of these issues? Where has our politics got into?
I don't know if you play the game of chess and you know what pawns are in the game of chess. Without the pawns in the game of chess, there's no king, there's no queen. But the truth is, nobody puts premium on the pawns on the table of chess. The only thing that the two players look forward to is how to kill the queen and how to make the queen reign.
Is that what Nigerian politics
That is what the people have become in the scheme of things in Nigeria. People of Nigeria, with due apology, are only relevant to the point and to the extent of endorsing victory for politicians by numbers, by votes. Because I'm not one of those who will tell you that votes don't count. Because if votes don't count, politicians will not pay for it.
Yeah.
So, but Nigerians have been reduced to the extent that your usefulness, with due respect, or our usefulness in most cases, ends at the ballot. The moment our votes are used to validate who occupies an office, the rest of the decision, the rest of the benefit are taken away from the people. And because, like your boss was saying, because the people have been paid for validation, they also become incapacitated in asking very serious questions of accountability. And that is the unfortunate thing. So you now resolve to fate and say, oh, it's what they give us. So it's no longer about what do we deserve. Because we also know within us that we have sold our birthright. So to now demand for accountability becomes very difficult. That's why the voice of reasoning, the few people that are challenging the status quo are becoming reduced day by day. Because even though that you thought are above board, who make all the noise, who make all the call for accountability, sometimes they will just look back and pick one or two people, put them in position of authority, soil their hand, and then the voice reduces. We can begin to point names of people that you would have thought, even if these ones are begged for appointment, they will say no. They are the ones we are looking out for as symbol of challenge. They are demigod in being able to ask questions. And then all of a sudden you go to bed and then you wake up the morning and you see them on the table. The same table that they've criticized. And then you begin to wonder, what's going on here? Then the next thing you begin to tell yourself is, oh, let's just hope that even if I don't get on the table, I can crawl under it and see if some crops will fall.
Out.
So,
right. The
standard becomes falling.
And when you talk about people, or maybe people that you might say are on the other side of the divide, one thing has happened this year. The moment you visit the villa, it's like your life will never remain the same.
That's not
and your decision. No, you have time to explain. I want to, because I could imagine many opposition governors, the moment they visit the villa, the moment they come back like this. Now, look at this. In the entire Southwest, in the entire southern region of Nigeria, only Sheyi Makinde is remaining.
He's not even remaining.
Well, that's what we can see on paper.
Maybe on the face of the books.
You will have all of them, everybody. In fact, the last of the Mohicans before now was Ademola Adeleke, who left the PDP for whatever rankings they're having, went to the Accord. He's not a member of it. He started the year. PDP started with so many governors in 2025. Now they are ending with only maybe 3. In principle, maybe Bala Mohammed, the governor of Zamfara, and maybe one other person, they are the only ones remaining right now, mass defection to the APC. And it's been done ashamedly, not like it's illegal, but it seems that is where it is right now. In fact, before 2027, many persons have said maybe it's only Sheyi Makinde and Balada. Hey, you think?
They might only remain because they are not in a re-election. I can tell you that before 2027, no governor will remain in the PDP because there's no PDP in the real sense of it. The list of candidates for Ekiti governorship election was released a couple of days ago, and the name of the PDP was missing on that list.
No Guba candidate.
No Guba candidate for PDP in Ekiti State, and that's because the party practically does not exist. And when questions were asked from INEC said the only person authorized by the law to sign the nomination of a candidate is the national secretary of the party. As it stands today, PDP practically do not have a national secretary. There are two of them, and the case is still in court. And by law, INEC cannot recognize one faction against the other. And I can assure you, with the way politics is played in Nigeria, that the decision of who is the original leader of the PDP might not be decided on 2027. So if that be the case, can you be a governor wanting to contest for a second term or seeking a fresh platform?
Are you saying before 2027 there might practically be no opposition government? But we still have a chance to do, by the way.
See, what you call opposition are opposition by nomenclature. Not opposition in principle.
For semantics, at least.
Look, the big Sheyi Makinde that you are claiming is the last man standing. What was the role Sheyi Makinde played in the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
He said he regrets that and he won't do that again.
It doesn't matter whether what he regrets. It's just like you telling me you regret slapping your wife. Were you blindfolded to not know that that is your wife when you were slapping her? So all of these politicians are doing whatever they are doing by the interest of self. They are selfish. And until Nigerians begin to see through these people, I laugh. Look, I am privileged to be close to a number of people in government, whether at the level of the state and I listen to conversations, I see them in their true characters. 99.9% of politicians in Nigeria are self-serving. They are not doing anything for God or for people. So long as at that time in 2023, it aligned with the interest of Sheyi Makinde. Politically, financially, call it anything sheerly. Now he got a re-election. He's rounding up his second term. He has nothing to lose. And he was open. This is what I'm privy to, even though it has been denied. The agreement was the possibility of leaving office as governor and coming into the federal cabinet. But the ties are showing that that will not be possible with the rift between him and Wike. And for as long as Wike calls the shot within the presidency about who gets what, Sheyi Makinde is not likely going to sit in cabinet with the same Wike as ministers. So Sheyi Makinde realizing the impossibility and the unlikeliness of that. And of course, he's not even talking about being a senator. He's going to contest on a senator on which party's platform. The PDP does not have a leadership, so no nomination, no candidacy. So he knows all of this. So you are now telling us you regret decision. So where is the place of the people? So people that died while you took that decision. Homes that lost their fathers and mothers because of that decision you took that you are regretting now. Are they to begin to regret in their graves that they did support your interest? What becomes of their families? So if you know that politicians don't do things for God, if you know that politicians don't do things for the people, you will be cautious in how much bullets as a people you take for these politicians. So if you tell me Sheyi Makinde is one of the, he's not standing anywhere. He has nothing at stake. He's running off his second term. And he is not contesting for anything. So he can as well go down the drain with the PDP. The same thing with Bala Mohammed. Bala Mohammed is not seeking an election, so he can as well go down the drain. But you won't find the governor seeking another term. Or seeking a fresh mandate, sinking with the PDP. That's what you saw in the Demola Deleke. It won't happen.
Well, we're at a loss for time, but let's quickly talk about this in just 2 minutes, please. The gazetted laws, the tax law now, the gazetted laws, the consensus or harmonized tax laws.
And the alteration.
And the allegation of forgery. What do you say about that?
Look,
in just 1 minute.
The position I took when the year for first subsidy started is the same position I'm taking on this tax law. In the eventual analysis, the people will benefit. But any policy of government that is not acceptable, that is not explained to acceptability to the people, is not something that should go ahead with. If you look at the details of the tax law, the people will eventually benefit. But look, we have just paid a sacrifice. The highest tax any Nigerian can pay is what we have paid with the fuel subsidy of the thing. In this, look, I'm not an economist, but I've spoken to a number of economists. You only will find a country that meets up with its target, a revenue target in a year. And if we are to go about with the words of Mr. President, Nigeria met its revenue target as far back as August, which means that we have the propensity of having another half.
That was eventually debunked. By
that we're likely, there's likelihood that we're going to have another half of the target revenue met in the last quarter of the year. It's rare in the history of any nation. And that is made possible by the sacrifices the people made by the
But even that claim has been refuted to say maybe that's a lie. Because it can't be saying we have made revenue target and we are neck debt neck deep in debt.
Until the books are reconciled. That's the place of auditing.
Wale Edun was at the National Assembly and he was talking about not making enough money.
Until the audit report is out and the sheet is balanced.
The forgery allegation.
These claims can neither be here nor there. But what I'm saying is the biggest sacrifice that Nigerians needed to make has been made with the fuel subsidy removal. So if you are now asking Nigerians to sacrifice more by the harmonized tax thing, for me, it's a good policy. But until it goes down well with the people and until we drink water on the sacrifice previously made, please don't impose another sacrifice on us.
So the acceptability is very key.
Very, very key. No policy gets driven well if it's not acceptable to the people.
Comrade Ayologun, thank you very much. All right. So for your time and your take for 2025, you have been a worthy partner.
Thank you very much. It's always been a pleasure.
All right. Temitope, you round off for the year.
All right. Thank you so much, dear viewers. Thank you for the year. Thank you for today. This is the midweek installment and the last for the year. My name is Temitope Ajijola Oluwaola. Hopefully, we'll see you in the new year.
All right. Femi Ojo is my name. Let me take this moment to appreciate everyone. Every resource person, every analyst, both on site and online, within the country, outside of the country, that has been a part of this program. We appreciate you. The production team, all of you, you have been wonderful. People have anchored this program with from the first day of the year till this moment. Thank you very much as well. We'll see you in the new year, God willing, with better stories to tell. Not wailing, not whining, not complaining, but really, I'm excited for the new year, actually. Of course, see you in the new year. God bless Nigeria. God bless Western Spring Television. Let's do this again next year. Bye.